Good morning, beautiful goddesses and soul sisters around the world. Today we have a question for you. Are you building the house or is the house building you? That's right. Welcome to session 11.
Yay! It's an angel
Yay!
number, 1111, my favorite.
It
And we're
is.
starting at 11. We started at 1111.
We started at 11:11, of course, and this is session 11.
Of
So
course.
welcome.
Yeah.
Good morning, my
It,
soul sister bestie. How are you?
great. It's a great day to have a great day.
It is a great day to have a great day. I'm so excited to begin to unpack and unravel this question with our listeners. I know you and I were just like lit up, yummy. Of course, I was snot and tears crying. I know you were blown away by some of the statistics that you learned about. Do you want to begin there?
Yeah, well, just to recap, last week Shannon was talking about, reaping and sowing in our field of favor,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
we're going to unpack that a little bit more today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when I read these statistics, it just really pointed to, for me, how many people are not in their field of favor,
Right?
right? So the
100%.
yeah, so the statistics are men change jobs on average of every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Women change jobs on average of every 3 years. And I know
Mm-hmm.
there's additional statistics that are out there that show like the majority of people who graduate with a specific degree, like they are not in that same field at all anymore.
Right.
And so it's interesting to me, and I do believe that God is calling us at different seasons for different things, you
Right.
know. And so I get the change. Lord knows, I've done all sorts of things. I spent 20 plus years being a music teacher, music, voice, kind of music. And that was perfect for me at that season of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into business with Ben and, helped him build the fence company. And then that wasn't, while I'm proud of the work we do, wasn't fulfilling for me. So then I started exploring things that were, because I was blessed to be raised with parents and grandparents who really instilled in me. God gave you these gifts as a clue, as a sign to what you should be doing and how you should be serving. Our, like, we talk about this all the time, like our gifts, our skills are needed now more than ever, more
Right.
than ever. Yeah. So it was just interesting. Those statistics were like, wow, and then I look at my own history and my own, like we always say, we're like, version at version what? I don't even know. I lost count.
I've lost count too.
Yeah, like 67.3 or something. I mean, it's,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, a couple things I was blown away by. It was really the perspective and the shift. So most of this conversation is really being derived out of Connie and I's biblical Bible study that we're doing on Tuesday nights. And,
Around God navigating our finances.
that's right.
Yeah.
And one of the really interesting perspective shifts for me is that like it's all God's business. Whether you are an employee, whether you have your own business, and I
And
thought,
God's money.
say that again.
It's all God's money.
That's right. It's all God's money. And what I found so interesting, because I remember, 18 years corporate tax and accounting, and I did probably shift every 3 years, still in the same field. However, I shift places about every 3 years. So that statistic was right on. And I remember, the last place I was in, which is ultimately what had me get back to Jesus, was this boss that was horrible. And when I'm like, okay, Lord, if this is your business, that's an interesting way to navigate me.
Yeah.
But I guess he really needed to get my attention.
That's how it happens. So that, ladies, like that, what she just said is golden. You know, if you have this inner urge of what you want to be expressing in your life and you keep ignoring it, you know, God will start like, first he like knocks on our heart, then he knocks on our front door, and then he like pounds on your roof, and then everything falls apart. And then you're looking around and it's like all you have left are these skills that you've been gifted with and honed. And like, it's time to go to it's time to fulfill that. Like your self-expression is required.
Yes. I literally think the good Lord put me in a bag and like tied me up and said, come with me at this point. I mean, I ignored every sign. I ignored.
Because isn't that what our society has trained us to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like work is supposed to be hard and can't wait till you get to retirement.
Right.
There is no retirement in the Bible. There's and all the statistics support that. Like how many people die of heart attacks and all these things once they become retired.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and it is ultimately, you know, a continuation of the conversation we've been having, which is to unearth and discover what are your gifts, what is your purpose. And when you find that, you not only will be left with this exuberant amount of joy, but abundance and freedom and play and like deliciousness and a life that you love, that you created, you think you created, but ultimately it was already here waiting for you inside of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So the good Lord made it so uncomfortable in the corporate tax world. He's like, I am going to give you the jerkiest jerk of a boss who claims to be a Christian, who is going to be so ugly to you and invite you to back to, you know, white flag church. And there you will weep. You will weep and know that the only way that this could have happened was for me. Because that is what happened. I mean, it was unexplainable, the events that ultimately turned my life around.
Yeah. Yeah. So you might be, our listeners might be in like many different places, like we've been, right? Like I turned 51 at 12 days ago.
We're still celebrating.
We're still celebrating. I'm celebrating tonight with a friend. And you know, we go through these, like I said, it's these seasons of our lives. And you know, if you're in the place where you're in your field of favor and thriving, you know, how can you impact those around you such that they get to have that joy too? Right. If you're not, or you don't even know where you're at, you know, there's so many different tools out there where you can take these assessments to see like your personality styles and all that. Like that was part of our homework this last week. You know, the 16 different personality styles, and that was interesting.
Yes.
And really fit for me when I read all about it. And I've done all kinds of those things before. You know, so you might be just in the beginning, like I'm not happy. I'm just really working for money, but there's no fulfillment in my job. And I had these ideas and I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And so you might be in that phase where like, I want to step out and I don't know what's next. I don't know if there's going to be something to stand on. Right. And on my refrigerator, I have a quote that says basically, like when you come to the edge of all you know, and you step out into the unknown, one of two things will happen. Either you will fall or you will fly. And we know when you step out in faith, we get to fly and soar.
Every time.
Yeah. So wherever you're at, you know, like I know we both know we're in alignment with what we're supposed to be doing, which is why this whole Soul Sister Adventures was birthed, right?
Yes.
And so we're wanting to encourage and love on those women who are not yet in their field of favor fully expressed. And so if that's you, like look around, who can you help? Who can you support? Yeah.
Well, and again, just to continue to unpack this conversation, ultimately, you know, what we're learning and what we're discovering and what we're really shining a light to is that work is developing character. right? So even when I spent 18 years in corporate tax and accounting, you know, and I like got the awareness I was living a life in fulfillment of my mother versus, you know, my divine purpose, that was character developing. I certainly was able to develop a skill set that has had me endure, you know, through the, you know, what do we call it? The guts and the glory? Through it all, right?
Yeah.
And so again, the quote is, while the carpenter is building a house, the house is also building the carpenter. So where, like Connie said, wherever you are in your journey, whether you are in love with the profession you're in or the business that you're building or not, consider it is ultimately, you know, sharpening your craft, sharpening your tools. You know, what is the quote about diamonds, Connie?
Oh, under pressure, like coal under pressure becomes diamonds.
There you go.
So if you're under pressure, consider you may be a diamond.
Amen to that.
The other thing I want to say, given that we're talking about planting seeds, you know, I read another kind of, I don't know if it was a meme or a quote that talked about basically, you know, people have been, I'm going to be like, I'm not going to cuss today. People might be crapping all over you, right? And you might be in the middle of that part of your life. And remember, though, that what they didn't know and you might have forgotten, you're a seed. And so what does seeds do in fertilizer? Like they bloom.
They blossom.
Right? So like you might be thinking like you're doing this to me, but guess what? You didn't know I was a seed.
That's
and
right.
I'm gonna, like rise up above it. Just
Come
say
on now. I am loving that.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Well,
Beautiful.
I know. So one of the things that I do with my clients is I am a mental fitness champion, working with this positive intelligence program, and it's an amazing 7-week program. And once when I went through it, like by week 2, I was like, oh, I know I want to do this with people because it lit my whole neurology up. And so when I started the training, I get to work with Shirzad Charmaine, who is the content creator. And I also get to work with Bill Carmody, who's a business coach, who's amazing. And he said, you think you just did the program. Now you're actually going to do the program. You're actually going to get to develop, you know, even more neural pathways to support a positive mindset versus a negative mindset. And you all think you just did the work. Welcome to building your business, because the building of the business is the work, just like the house is you building the carpenter, right? This training, this work of, you know, having this business. And, you know, I've had multiple businesses throughout the year, and I could see how all the different ones have prepared me in different unique ways, you know,
For such a time as this.
for such a time as this.
So I specifically, given your permission, with your permission, Connie, would love to speak to those of you who have quit, right? Who have forgotten your dream, who have quit on your dream. You began and you stopped. You know, what are you beginning to hear inside of this conversation? Like knowing, you know, hearing, maybe not trusting yet that it is all God's business, that exactly what you went into is like, it's like going to the gym, strengthening your characters, you know, strengthening your mind, awakening your heart, building this organ that's going to pump for your purpose and your passion. You know, what are you beginning to hear in this conversation for yourself? And, you know, what actions can you begin to see that can make a difference? Right. You know, I think there's one thing that if you like know Connie and myself, there's one thing that is truer than true about both of us. It's that we just don't quit. Like you cannot beat someone who doesn't quit. Now, I'm not saying we haven't pivoted from time to time, but ultimately the dream and the vision was always there. We always said we would have it, and now we are living it.
Yeah.
And not only have we achieved it, and there's like this level, and then there's this level, and then there's this level, and then there's this level. And what I'm really present to is when the more we know about ourselves, right? The more you know about you, the more we hone in on our craft. What is our craft? What is it that we're supposed to be doing? How is it that we are supposed to be serving? Where can we make the greatest impact and alter the world? Because that's what we say we want to do. When we hone in on that, it's like ultimately more will be given unto you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just like the parable of the talents, too much is given, much is required. And the more, like, you could be trusted with, if you can't manage, $5,000, do you think that God is going to be sending you,
$500,000.
20,
Yeah.
$1 million? I mean, like a month, I'm talking like a month, like a monthly budget. Like if you are not managing like what you've been given and the skills and talents that you've been given, optimizing those, what are you thinking? Like, how that is going to expand somehow?
Right.
And fear can be a powerful thing when you buy into it. And the question to ask yourself is, who's saying that? Like, we have these thoughts, right? You're the first person where I heard the term. Now, I said I wasn't going to cuss, but I'm going to. Like, the itty bitty shitty, because it just is so perfect, So we call it the itty bitty shitty committee. And my PQ, we talk about the saboteurs, the same thing. It's in the brainstem, right? And when we listen to that, it's like we could think that those thoughts are real, like significant. Well, who said that? 99.9% of the time, it's not an external person saying you're not enough, you can't do it, you're not smart, you're not worthy, you're not whatever. It's we make that crap up, like this in all fairness, to protect ourselves. And we forget who we are, whose we are. And there's no need for protection. There's no need for it. Like, I'm not saying be like reckless, and when you are sowing into your field of favor, there, I believe, and I've seen, like, more so now than ever, mountains will move that have never moved. Coincidences. We've both had people, like, literally in the last 2 months, I've had two different people. One, again, yesterday, said, Jesus or God told me to call you. And the connections that are like weaving into my world. And I know it's because I'm listening to where I'm supposed to be. I'm listening to my heart. Yes. I'm listening to that voice. Like, I'm not listening to the itty bitty shitty committee, because it's like, thank you for sharing, right? Thank you for wanting to keep me safe. Right. I have not yet forgotten who I am, because I've surrounded myself. Shannon and I have this pact. When I forget who I am, she reminds me, and when she forgets who she is, I remind her. And that's part of what our Soul Sister Adventure Facebook community is about, reminding you who you are and whose you are. And when you are very clear about that, like, mountains will move, doors will open.
Yeah. And for those of you who an outside external circumstance has told you that you aren't worthy, you are enough, you will not succeed, you are a piece of fill in the blank, spoke death over your life and robbed you of every piece of who you were given and who you were told to be, because I've been there and I know that. You can come back from that too. Remember, who and whose you are. And like Connie said, surround yourself with people who can begin to breathe life into you. Because most of the time it is our internal voices. And for me,
You're right.
It began with external. Death was spoken over me. Death was threatened upon me. And the journey wasn't easy. And worth it.
Yeah. And look where you are now.
Yeah.
You said no more.
No more.
No more.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and how great and gracious it was that I had a BFF that said, you know, how long are you going to continue to put up with this?
Yeah.
And it took a while. So if it's going to take a while for you, it's okay. We'll be right here. Plug in, listen to us, get in the Facebook group, reach out for assistance, you know, get in Connie's PQ class. Begin to train your brain neural pathways for new spaces and new places. I always like to think about the brain like a roller coaster, right? So you've been riding this particular ride for a really long time.
Yeah.
Just consider it makes
that
you
pathway
sick,
is
you
down.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's create a new adventure. Like strap it in, put your arms up because the ride
Get in the car.
Get in the car. It's going to be a whole new adventure.
Yeah, really. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's possible.
Yeah. So God's part in our work. God gives us our skills. God gives us success, and God controls the promotions.
Yeah.
That's the biggest takeaway for today.
Yeah.
You may be building the house, but the house is building you. And do not quit. You know, hunger in and hone in. Know like you know who you are serving with every step. While might not be easy, it will be worth it. Yeah.
And we see you.
That's right.
And we have a downloadable thing in our Facebook group that is literally I see you. And there's a whole there's activities you can do daily to remind yourself to build that new neural pathway, because we know, like, and it's been said many times, everything you want is outside your comfort zone, right? And the reason why we have the comfort zone is nothing more than neural pathways that have been, like you said, riding the same ride over and over and over. That's all that is. We make it to mean to be so much more. And like, so here's my, the nerd and Connie coming out. And the beautiful thing is that we could create those new neural pathways.
Yeah.
And
we literally build your own new roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly.
Called The Boss.
Now preach on that. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Love it.
So before we go, I want to, for the St. Louis folks that are in this area, Shannon and I are doing an event, a complimentary event, a week from today, which is Wednesday, and we're on Wednesday, March 22nd. So on Wednesday, March 29th at 7:00 at our free water store, you could come and indulge in the free living water that Shannon has, and get energized and fueled up, while I'm going to be doing a presentation on and gifting everyone with a complimentary inner voice session that balances your emotions and how they affect your body. Yes. And you get sent 4 different custom audios that you can listen to and that help balance your emotions, because that's part of who we are. We're physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And I might throw in a couple bonuses too about some food sensitivities and chakras and meridians and the energy body. So if you're interested in doing that, we're going to be posting in the Facebook group a flyer. You just need to reach out and RSVP to us. We are limited to how many people in the
25.
store? 25.
And
25
we will pack the house. So yes. Make sure you register, save your seat. It will be a sold out event.
Yes. And it's complimentary. It's our gift to you, to fuel in and let's nourish that field of favor.
Yeah, really awaken the energies and the frequency of who you are, and meet some, come play with us, meet some fun people. Yeah, it'll be a high vibe event for sure.
For sure.
All right. Well, that completes us today. Hope you were touched, moved, and inspired in an area of life important to you that maybe prior to today you did not think was possible. So like Connie said, get into our Facebook group, reach out to us, register for that event. Let us know what you heard in the comments, like it, tag it, post it, share it, and we will see you on the next one. Mwah.
Get in the car.
Get in the car.